What's up, fam? Welcome to Lust, Let Us Speak Truth. I'm your host, Nick, and we got the panel on here. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Everybody good?
Great.
We doing good.
Okay, now. Y'all, today's topic, I wanted to vibe off my homeboy show. Their names are Fuel and Fat Boy from Fired Up Broadcasting. If you haven't seen them, check them out on YouTube. They are super dope, and they do topics like everyday topics. So tonight's topic, y'all, we're going to talk about, dear Black men, we want to see you grow old. So my point in that, y'all, we all know guns and music lyrics are a big part in the younger generation. What else plays a part?
Silence plays a big part in the mental gap, and also the mental gap in terms of how we think, how we go about doing things, and current trends is a huge thing.
Okay. Anybody else on the panel? What else plays a part?
I want Tanya to expound on that a little bit.
For as how we view things. Well, of course,
What we leaving out.
I'm sorry.
Like the sign is like what we're leaving out, not allowing men not talking about it, or you're saying like
Well, when he's being silent, of course. I believe that, and I don't want to end up taking me into another question, but men have been silent for quite some time now. This has not always been like that, but however, it is what it is in today's society.
for a lot of different reasons, though.
Exactly. And I totally agree.
Yeah.
And feed off that, Trav. What are the reasons?
Well, we live in a society where, you know what I'm saying, if you're a man, it doesn't matter your race. Nobody cares. I mean, it's period. It's women, children, and pets. That's it. And a boy when he's young, but when you get older, as a man, nobody cares. I mean, you have to be productive. As a man, you have to earn your value. You know what I mean? You have to be productive to be of value as a man. So it doesn't work like that. You know, as a woman, you can be a nice looking lady and your value is there. A guy wants you, but when you're a man, that's why guys, I couldn't figure out why guys would go and be in gangs and stuff. Well, that's that love that they get if they don't have a father or brothers. That's where they would get it from.
So
I
you
mean,
don't,
whether it's misled or not, you know what I'm saying? That's where they get it from.
so you don't think it's like jealousy or envy, video games, education?
A lot of that, yeah, a lot of that. I agree. A lot of that too. But you gotta understand when you trying to figure out how to be a man and your dad ain't around.
Yeah.
So you got music, you listening to all that. You don't know how to interact with women well. You know what I mean? Those guys suffer from a lot of those things. It's just tough. It's tough. So growing old, a lot of them don't even think they're gonna grow or get old.
I did.
Yeah.
See what he just said?
What'd you say, Smiley?
I said I didn't. My 25th birthday, nobody said happy birthday. Everybody was just like, congratulations, you still here.
See what I mean?
Wow.
That was the norm.
And you and y'all got to sink in what he just said. He got to 25 and he said somebody said, you thankful
Congratulations, you made it.
Congratulations, you still here. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, nowadays, like, truth be told, Black men are in survival mode. They're targeted by all, but
I mean, if we're gonna be real, we always have been.
yeah, but majority our own. What happened to putting value in our Black community?
I mean, that comes back to the different types of influences that we have, that we get taught to view ourselves the way the people who dislike us view us. And it ain't that big of a stretch to, you know what I'm saying? I give you an example. Back when I was still active in the shenanigans, one day we was on the block. There's, I don't know, maybe 15 of us out there. everybody, you know, saying strapped and you got work over here and all of that. And just a light came on. I said, bro, because it was a dude came walking past, you know what I'm saying? He just minding his business walking down the street.
Smiley, we hear a lot of background noise,
All right, hold up.
so we can't really hear you talk.
Nobody, take that back.
No.
Take it back,
I
bro.
don't want.
Take it back.
I
Take
love
it back to mommy. Go now.
Our babies,
Careful.
our babies.
babies.
We
Yes.
gotta love our babies.
Y'all watching Real Man on Daddy Duty. I like that pimp.
Hold on, give me a
Yes,
second.
That's right.
A
That's
black man
right.
at that.
Hey,
Mhm.
watching a
Give it to
grown man
him.
with his children on Daddy Duty. That's what I'm talking about.
A great father at that. I've seen him raise a few.
And he's my color too.
It's just before Smiley come back, I'll say this, man. I appreciate the topic tonight, man, but it's tough. Like, here's the thing. The rapper that just passed in Texas.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Take
like
off. Rest in peace.
that shit's senseless.
Yeah.
Completely. It's senseless.
Yeah. I
You know,
agree.
I don't know the complete story. I don't know exactly whatever, but it's senseless.
No, what's crazy to me is all these conspiracy theories about it. You know, they have the videos out there, and to me, here comes Tony B. Hold on. It just looks like he was caught up in a crossfire. He got caught up in somebody arguing with somebody, and it was a crossfire. Hey, Tony B, welcome back.
All right, y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
All
You
right.
good. Okay, so go ahead what you were saying, Smiley.
Sean, what's up, big dog?
What's happening, my boy? What's happening with
Hey fam, hope you're feeling better.
you? You know, I got the Theraflu on deck here. I'm working it out.
That's right. That's right. Go ahead, Smiley, what you were saying. Oh, let me update Tony. Tony, today's topic is Dear Black Men, we want to see you grow old. So we know like lyrics of songs and guns are part of this younger generation. So I said, what else plays a part? And then Smiley was talking. Go ahead, Smiley.
All right, so yeah, we outside. We just posted up, hanging out, and another dude came walking down the street. You know what I mean? He was mind. Truth be told, he was minding his business, but just because of how we done been taught to view each other, we all looking at him like, man, who buddy is right here? Like, so now everybody clutching. He walked past and minded his business. He ain't have nothing. He wasn't tripping on nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But after it happened, I just looked around. I said, man, I got to call bullshit. And they're like, what's wrong? I said, bro, all it would have took is one white dude in a 3-piece suit to walk up here, and all y'all would have been rushing to get rid of y'all.
Mm-hmm.
All these gangsters on this porch, and we willing to do damage to any nigga that walk past. One white dude in the suit, and everybody finna be throwing pistols.
Go ahead, Tony. Yeah.
And what you're saying, Smiley, is absolutely true. And I think one of the main reasons behind that is, and I was speaking earlier about it, we don't see value in each other. So we feel like shooting another black man or black woman is just, no big deal. You see a white person, somehow in your mind, that's value, that's dangerous, but another black person, oh, I'll kill you. You know what I mean? It's a mindset that we have to deprogram our minds to value us as people. But we've been devalued for so long, and it starts in school. You know what I mean? How they educate us. They educate us, making us believe that our history started at slavery.
Yeah.
If we know anything about ourselves, we know that our history did not start at slavery. You know what I mean? We have contributed more to humankind than anyone has. If you take away the contributions that Black people have contributed to this world, we'd be set behind so far.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying, and I think it's just a mindset that we gotta work on changing as a people, so we can see value in seeing another black man or a black woman.
Yeah. Go ahead, Trav.
Like, and I hear you, Tony. I hear you. Thing is though, like I go back to this, and I think a lot of men miss this one thing, and this is so big, and I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it. As a man, you have to earn your value anyway. It's not going to be given to you. Our world is not set up that way. No matter your color, and especially as a black man, you got to earn it by being productive. You know what I'm saying? If you don't produce, whatever that is, resources.
So how does that connect with seeing another black man that you don't know where their value comes from or where they built up their
There
value?
you go. So already the value doesn't start. So when you see him, you're not gonna give him no value because you don't think you're of any value. The first thing Smiley said was when he got to his 25th birthday, it was like, congratulations, you still here. That's the total wrong mindset. No, another brother that was 10, 15, 20 years older should have been telling you this is how you prepare so you're productive and you help somebody else. Then Smiley will turn around and give that back to the next. That's the way it's truly supposed to go.
But
Mhm.
you know, it's not there. But that is the narrative that we need to change. You're absolutely right. And that's part of putting value back into being black as a people. Because everybody else seems like they value their people. We don't value our people. We're not on code. We feel like it's no problem to kill somebody that looks like you
Yeah. I
or to
think there's a
hurt
lot
or
of, I
anything
think
like
there's
that. And
a,
that's not cool. We need to put some value into ourselves as far as being black men and black women. And let that be more of the standard than the standard of he ain't nothing or she ain't nothing. I'll kill him, I'll kill her.
I really believe
I-
a lot of it is jealousy and envy amongst black men. I think a lot of that, I mean, you see the movies, you see the video games that the younger
But
generation is playing.
Nick, and that goes back to the reason I asked Tanya to say what she said again.
Hmm.
Jealousy is a female trait. Men are not supposed to be jealous. That's a
But they're,
female trait.
but 80% out of 20 are.
It still
But
exists.
I'll
what
tell
I'm
you
saying
that.
is, and that's when it's perpetuated that you're supposed to be in tune and you're supposed to be in tune with your feminine side of more sense. That's a female trait. Men are not supposed to be jealous.
Yeah, there's a lot of jealous men though. So
So
what
what
do
if we use the word envious then?
okay, yeah, envious.
I can see that a little bit more, but jealousy as a man, that's a terrible quality to have.
What's the difference between envious and jealous?
Jealous, that's just ugh.
What's the difference between those two words though? Jealous is for women, envious is for men. What's the
I
difference
wouldn't even
between those
say
two words?
envious. I done seen a lot of brothers. I thought they were doing well, but envy, nah. My mind don't work.
Now,
So it says here, although many people consider envy and jealousy synonyms, they actually have distinct meanings. Envy is the painful feeling of wanting what someone else has, like attributes or possessions. But if you're jealous, you feel threatened, protective, or fearful of losing one's position or situation to someone else.
hmm,
Mhm.
None of those should go with a full-fledged man. You should be trying to figure out how that man got that particular situation he's in by going and working your ass off for that and being fearful and you want someone to fail because that's I'm sorry, y'all. I don't
Think about it, Trav. In today's world, in today's society, there's a lot of envious. Okay, case in point, like I don't know who brought up Takeoff, but case in point, he's at a dice game or whatever. He wasn't involved. There was an altercation of whoever was there, and then someone rubbed against somebody because of whatever the conversation was, and then punches were thrown and then shots were fired. So what was said, because none of us know, so again, I don't do conspiracy theories, something was said that pissed somebody off that could have been a jealousy thing, an envious thing. You never know what was said.
I mean, sometimes it doesn't need to be said. You see this person walk in with all this jewelry and all this money, and you feel like, man, I'll murder him and take all that.
Right. Hold on, y'all. Let Smiley say something. Go ahead.
the takeoff situation, how he ended up getting killed. If we gonna attribute all of those other factors into it, cool. But the core cause of it was they had somebody in their circle who ain't have no business having a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, the saying is guns don't kill people. It's stupid people with guns that kill people.
I
So-
disagree.
And
I
we
disagree
have
with
we
that.
have a situation where bullets don't have names on them, and when you're caught up in situations and circumstances, you could be at the the wrong place at the right time, in the right place at the wrong time, however you say it. People get caught up in situations like that, in crossfires. It's all about where that bullet is going and who's behind pulling the trigger, and that's just what it is. But when
Bullets
we get
land.
into Huh?
Even in the military,
Bullets land.
they got a phrase called friendly fire. You know what I mean?
Right.
They call it getting fragged. So you have people who panic for whatever reason, and they'll have the people we all together, but you happen to be in front of me and I'm shooting wildly.
But see, and the difference between that is that when you're in the military or a police officer, you're a trained shooter. You're one shoot, one
Supposed to
kill,
be.
right?
Supposed to
You're
be.
supposed to be a trained shooter. So you get training on that. You're going to different trainings and stuff of that sort. But when you are just a street nigga and that you're just going to the shooting range just to, pop off whatever it is that you're popping off, and you're not really getting no training behind it, you're just somebody toting a gun around, you're going to get these results. But we're not. The thing about it is we're getting these same results in the Black community, white community, Hispanic community, in all the communities. It's not just Black men. But what I think too is when we look at nurturing our Black men and making sure that they get to 25, 30 in their 80s and enjoying retirement, is it starts at home. It's not in the streets. It starts at home. We need to nurture our men in their upbringing, not just when they're in their teens or when they're adults. Even if you're in a relationship, you want to nurture that man. You want to, I don't know, what do they say? Stroke their ego.
What about the women that raise the young men without a male figure or that's in their household? So they have the young men, but then the street, they get, you go to school, you get with your friends or whatever, and then you have that's triggering you. You know what I mean? Because women can raise a boy, but women cannot raise men.
That's 100%. But we also have so many different programs that are out there, whether they say it takes a village to raise a child.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an uncle, a brother, a godparent, a grandfather, we have mentors within our community.
And
like
see,
whether if they want to reach out to them or not, we have those resources and mentors within our community. But it's up to that person to really try to reach out and
connect with them.
Connect. Thank you.
Go ahead, Tanya.
Well, let me say something, because it's almost like saying that a Black man cannot think. Okay, we all have choices. Some choices are better explained than others, but we all, every one of us, every Black man have a choice to either turn right or left. It depends on that person. What I don't want to keep, I ain't gonna say keep, but I don't want to give my Black man excuses all the time. I understand there have been some rough upbringing, but again, we're saying it's almost like saying our Black man can't think for himself, and that's untrue. A Black man can't think for himself.
I think it's more of a devalue in that. Go ahead, Tony.
Okay, I think one thing that we can all agree on is a lot of these shootings, these deaths, and especially with these rappers, it comes behind jealousy and envy. The PNB Rock, they stole his jewelry.
Right.
The other brother from New York, they got killed in LA. A lot of these cases, it comes from the money standpoint, right?
Mhm.
So I want to ask everybody on the panel, does anybody know what the wealth gap, or should I say the wealth between blacks and whites when blacks were freed from being slaves? What percentage of blacks, what percentage of the wealth that we own, and what percentage of the wealth that white people own? Does anybody know?
That I don't know.
I'm quite sure ours is pretty low.
When we were freed as slaves, less than 1.1% of the value, of the wealth we own, right? White people own 35% of the wealth. Of course, because, they had free labor for whatever amount, 400 years, that's debated. Some people say it's 200 some years, but regardless, they had free labor for years and years and years and years. In 2022, it's still the same. So when you think about that and you think about the wealth not being there, and Trav brought the point earlier, he said, as a black man, instead of being envious and jealous, find out how you can go out there and get it yourself, which I agree with, but you got to know that they're sprinkling that money out there. They're not putting it all out there the way other people are able to get the money. Like I said, in 2020, when home interest rates were the lowest, they were actually redlining us again, denying blacks of loans.
Did you
Why
see,
is that?
yeah, did y'all see, and this is a little bit off topic, but did y'all see where a black couple portrayed to be a white couple and got an appraisal on their house? And they were a black couple first. They were themselves, and it came in at a value. They got it revalued, portraying to be white people, and it came in, what was it, like 100,000 more or 200,000 more than.
I know the story you're talking about. What it was a mixed couple, a white dude and a black woman.
Uh-huh.
The first time they did the appraisal, they saw all of the pictures of this mixed family, black woman and all of the pictures, and the value of the house came in way low. So what they did was they took all of the pictures of the black woman out and just left it as a white man's house, and the property value went up.
Same thing happened with D.L. Hughley. He
And
said his real estate agent told him to take down the pictures in the house because if they seen the pictures, the value of the house would be, and he said he didn't want to do that. But they told him that, you know what I mean? So, I mean, we can deny it, or we can say that it's not really that bad, but it's there. Believe me, it's there. And there's things, there's needs on our backs. Even though we're fighting it, even though we're going out here and we're making our money, we're doing the things that we're doing, there is still a need on our backs.
Yeah.
In 2022.
I got a question for the ladies.
Need on and I totally agree. Even though there's a need, there's still choices that have to be made. You know what I mean? So the envy, jealousy, and this and that and the other. And Trav, I heard you say that black men, you don't find black men, jealousy is not a word that's attached to the black man.
I said men shouldn't be jealous. That's a female trait.
Okay, men shouldn't be, but they are, because they are emotional. We're all emotional.
We're not the same, Tanya.
If one of our children get hurt today or tomorrow,
men and women are not
what you're probably going to do is break down and cry.
We're not the same, but he shouldn't be crying. He needs to get his ass up.
But Trav, let's talk about
I'm telling you.
But that's you.
No, that's all men. The reason that, let me say this. Let me say one thing.
Go ahead.
The reason, this is the reason why it's really difficult, because there's a low hint or an active knowing that I cannot disrespect Smiley because he's a man, and then it'll get physical. Well, women, you all don't have that. So what I'm saying is now you add guns, being misled, and you've been breastfed by your mother and you're 24 years old. That's the reason they act like that.
Let me ask you.
If they had a man, it'd be different.
Let me ask you a question. God forbid, and I don't mean to say this at any kind of disrespect, but if something happened to your female daughter, would you cry?
Of course.
That's what she's talking about. She's talking about emotions. She's not talking about everyday emotions, because that's different. It's just everybody has.
There's nothing attractive about a man crying all the time. Don't believe it.
No, not all the time. Not all the time.
I need you to be aware.
If somebody dies, I understand that. But if you're just crying for every little thing, that's not a man trait. I'm sorry.
Okay, I got a question for the ladies. Do y'all think we failed our Black men as moms, sisters, or wives?
Hell no. You know, and if some disagree with
Sister.
that, if some disagree with that, it's only because that the Black woman's hands was tied, or we was compared with non-melanated women.
What about the crackheads?
What do you mean? What about the crackheads?
What about, let's say you had men had women that were like that was their wife, right? And then all of a sudden they got mixed into something outside of their home and took some drugs and got mentally messed up from drugs. How do you think that they failed their man, or did they fail themselves? Or I'm gonna scratch that statement because I'm not gonna go nowhere with that one because that's a whole nother subject. But but go ahead, y'all.
Again,
Nick,
like I said,
I just sent you something, Nick. That's
like I said
what you,
before, Nikki, is that no, we have not failed our Black man. And again, let me reiterate this. You know, if anyone disagree with that statement, it's only because the Black woman's hands was tied, and we was compared. I'm gonna say, and we were compared with non-melanated melanated women. So yeah.
Okay, Tanya, I got a little caveat for that,
I
right?
got it. Uh-huh.
You said you feel that if there was any failure on the Black woman's part, it's because her hands were tied, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the same scenario a lot of these men are dealing with. You said earlier, we acting like the Black man doesn't have a choice and he can't think for himself. It's not that he can't think for himself. He's making decisions based off of the choices that he has in front of him. If I don't know that I have a choice to go this way, only thing I know, I got option A and I got option B. It's not that I can't think for myself. I just make a choice based on the options that I see.
Mm-hmm.
AKA hands tied. We were in the same struggle.
I don't think that ties that Black women have failed our Black men.
I listen. I didn't say
That's
that
the question.
I can let me speak. Let me say something. I feel some Black women have failed our Black men. I won't speak of the panel, anybody on here, but I do feel like there is a fine line of women, Black women, that have failed. There, you gotta think, in today's generation, or even in the last 20 years, how many women got bored of their relationship or went out on their man, cheated, did whatever they wanted to do because they got bored at home. So then they call the relationship, or they have a kid. They don't know who the daddy is. That's why we got Maury Povich. But there's different scenarios as to why I feel like sometimes women have failed. Go ahead, Trav.
Are you saying Black?
Okay.
You saying Black women particularly that have failed our
well,
Black men, or are you just saying women in general have failed men? Period.
We're talking strictly Black.
I want to answer that to Tanya, and I want to answer it to Nick too. Okay,
ahead.
so check this out. Because our Black women have become more educated than ever, and they feel like, hey, you got to listen. The nuclear family breaks down. If the nuclear family breaks down, something's going to suffer. What has suffered in that is, again, women raising boys. He's being breastfed for years. So there you go. And you get these actions, and you get guys who have this man testosterone, but he's being taught, think a different way. So when you break that family down, it's going to hurt somewhere. And these are the products that we have now. The families have been broke down. Nuclear, it's broke down. There's no way to look at it. And here's the thing. For us as men, there's no incentive. Like the incentive is for you to leave the relationship, get child support, get spousal support, take half his things, all that. That's what it's set up. You can't possibly do that without him being there. And he can't be the same father from the other side of the street. I don't care what you say. You can't be the same dad every other weekend.
See,
So
go ahead. Go ahead.
go ahead. So it's so many things. So I wouldn't say necessarily that our black women have failed us in direct, like they didn't do it directly saying, I'm going to fail the black man. It's saying, I want to be here. I no longer want to be here. I want to be here. But when you did that and you divorced at a rate of 70+%, that's what suffers. So
Okay.
you didn't fail us, but the actions failed us.
So,
I believe
okay.
society did fail us, but do y'all believe? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tony B.
So, okay, we can look at this in a couple of different angles. We can look at the angle of Travis, you as a man, you were taught how to be a man by your father. He led by example, right? He was there. So as
Every
a
day.
woman, if you don't have a woman there that is going to teach these young girls how to be women and how to be the type of women that they need to be, then there's a failure there. But then when we talk about women that are highly educated, that are out there handling their business, doing them things by themselves, they wouldn't have to do that by themselves if the man stood up and did what he was supposed to do as a man. You have a lot of men that go out there, have babies, and keep it pushing. Have babies and keep it pushing. Have babies and keep it pushing.
Yeah.
As men, we need to stand up and be real men and be accountable for these babies that we are making, so we can be there to be the man in the house and raise these kids.
Tony, are you really sitting there saying that, knowing how modern women are? Are you really saying that?
So once again, how do you think modern women got like that? Do you think
That is
if
true.
men were in the house, do you think they would be the way they are right now?
So again, are you ignoring the incentive? There's no incentive for a woman that's been with a man for a long time to stay married. She can leave and take half your shit.
Okay, so you're thinking about the money part of it, right?
That's
So
all they care
basically,
about.
so
That's not
basically, you're
true.
saying that most
That's not
women don't
true,
really
Trav.
look for to be in a relationship for love. They just looking for a relationship for money. Most women.
When they're shut out, old, and nobody wants them, then they want to be loved. When they're young and vibrant, that's the truth.
Hold on. Go ahead, Smiley.
So it's two things. One, I want to be careful because even the original topic of the podcast, as far as the gun violence in our communities and whatnot, down to the absence of fathers in the household, we got to be careful because these things don't happen as often as we perceive them to happen. What it is anything that's negative gets more attention. So the more you see that negative thing, you think that it's happening more.
Yeah.
By and large, Black men are outperforming other groups in the fatherhood category. By and large.
Yeah.
That's a statistic that you can look up and verify. We are outperforming almost every other group. We are outperforming. So the story about that, the deadbeat absentee Black father, that's a minority. But because it's a negative, that's the one that gets the attention. Well, they say the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right?
Mm-hmm.
I sit back and I watch people talk about all kinds of stuff, right? Even the whole Black on Black crime thing. Me and one of my partners was talking about it. And I said, if I think about how many people I know from Florida, Texas, California, Georgia, Carolinas, Vegas, like I know people. I'd probably say if I had to just throw a number on it easily, 2,000 numbers in my phone, 2,000 contacts, right?
Mm-hmm.
A good chunk of those is dudes who, you know what I mean, that came from the life. You know what I mean? I got Bloods, Crips, Vice Lords, GD, Stones. I got a little bit of everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Out of that 2,000 people, I might maybe know 2 or 3 people who got bodies.
Right. Right.
It's not that it's such a big rampant issue that it's just so many Black men doing it. It's usually the same dudes doing it.
And see, here's my thing, and not to draw back to the money thing, but a lot of Black women, personal people that I know.
That's
say
point
what-
to.
Huh?
At point two, I was about to get to.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I saw a video, I think it was from like 1984, 85.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing an interview with three, I'm guessing they might have been anywhere from 17 to about 22.
I saw that too.
All of them young Black girls, single mothers. And the man asked them, do y'all want to be married? Or why aren't y'all married? Or would you want to be married to your child's father?
Mm-hmm.
And this is back in like mid 80s, and all three of them said the same thing. Nah, I don't want to. I could do it by myself. Why would you want to do it by yourself when you could raise them together? And all three of them had the same response. Well, if I kick him out of the house, then now I can get the child support, I can get the government assistance, I get the SNAP, I get the what.
Which is exactly what I was.
That incentive has been there for our community, because I'm gonna tell you something. The last job I worked, I didn't know that you can get food stamps as a family unit. I didn't know that. Because every time I've dated somebody who was in that situation, I had to like have a go bag because they had inspections, people came to the house. I'm not allowed to be there.
Yes.
Then I'm talking to this
Can't
dude
get any
at work.
government assistance with a man in the house.
But then I'm talking to this white dude at work who made way more than me. And he was telling me how him and his wife just qualified for food stamps. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, your name was on the application? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, and they approved it? He was like, yeah. I'm like, that don't sound strange? He was like, why would it? I say, because as far as my experience goes, if there's a man involved in the house at all, you're not gonna get it. You don't qualify no more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I learned, like, we really is playing two different games.
Yeah.
It's a lot of this, like, the conversation that we on right now can go down several different rabbit holes, because you got a whole bunch of stuff that played a factor in the dysfunction that we're dealing with right now. It's not just Black women did this or that Black men did this. You got a lot of this stuff that's been puppet mastered.
Right.
So you got a lot of factors involved.
I want to say one quick thing to Tony, and it goes off what Smiley just said. Like, it's so crazy, but like Tony said, us as Black men, we need to step up and all that. And then he talked to, and then Smiley was like, look at all the stuff involved. All right, quickly, Tony, do you know that? If I told you 16% of Black men make 80% of the Black babies, would that sound outlandish to you?
Not at all.
So, okay, so that group that needs to step up is the 16%. But here go the problem. If them dudes are producing 80% of the babies, that means the women are sleeping with the same group of dudes. Now, they messed up and them chicks messed up. So when he walk up to you and he got multiple children's mothers, she did that. He gave her some game, she ate it, and she went along with it. She knew what he was when she got to him. That's why you can't fault him. He walked up, he told you who he was, and you still had another baby with him.
Yeah.
He don't take care of the other ones. So she needs to step up and say, this is a bad decision.
That's true. I agree with that.
I agree.
I agree.
Choices. Again, choices.
Yeah.
You got choices.
Everybody got choices. E40. Oh, but what about the younger ones? Or what about getting pregnant on the pill? Or what about the ones that had a IUD, whatever, and they still got pregnant?
I mean, those things happen. You know what I mean? They do. By a large number, I would say that's a lower number, but they do happen. And I ain't gonna just say, oh, that's not important. But I just say to ladies, man, if you contributed to the problem of the Black man getting older, just like, don't put yourself in those spots, because you all y'all are important to us. You know what I'm saying? You all are extremely important to us.
So I have a question for everybody on the panel.
Uh-huh.
We originally said the show we were talking about, we want the black man to live, and we
Mhm.
want to try to come up with a reason why, or understand why the violence is happening. I just want to know from everybody, just give your opinion of what could we do to show something different when it comes to us as black men, as
Normalize
far
loving.
as
Normalize loving our black men.
You said what, Nikki? I'm sorry.
Normalize saying I love you. Normalize. Before we go there, I'm going to read you something. And I read this off the game, the rapper, the game. And this is what I 100% agree with. Normalize taking care of men. Normalize holding and kissing them when they're sad and just because. Normalize doing nice things for them. Normalize genuinely listening to them when they're upset. Normalize complimenting them and telling them you love and appreciate them. Normalize taking care of your man the same way you would want him to take care of you.
That is so true and so powerful.
Start normalizing
Yes.
it. Go ahead, Trav.
Man, that's a lot. That's a lot what you quoted. And I'll tell you this. For a guy like myself, I can't speak that that kind of poked me. Not in a bad way. It got to me. Cause I'll tell you why. In a relationship with a woman, if you do those little things for me, I ain't talking about no money.
Right.
I ain't talking about none of that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, how was your day? I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Yes.
And that'll make me do more and more and more and more. That's it's simple. And I think ladies think we're so difficult and we're not. Dudes are so primitive, like we still are. It's simple. You ain't got to do all that. If you got to do it and you stroke his ego just a little bit, it's gonna pay dividends. I promise you.
But
And
what message would you put out to the young men out there to kind of get them to deviate from having this mindset of just being able to go out there and kill another black man? That was my question.
oh, that's
Mm.
man, that's a tough one, dog. And I'll tell you why, Tony, because I got the same ideas you have when it comes to that. Like I see a young brother and I see value in him. You ain't got to do that. You can be somebody, doc. But I think in our society, it's been like you said, you know, um, it's been taught, man, that ain't nothing there. So you insignificant. You know what I mean? And you got guys that they out there listening to it. T.I. had a line one time. I was listening to one of his songs, and he said, I was listening too hard. I was tripping. So some guys leave their house looking for the trouble. They listening to you for an
But they
issue.
talking too loud, man. You be
You,
listening too hard.
too hard. Yeah,
I
you
know
smile.
exactly what song
So,
you talking about.
yeah, so, and see, Smiley, that's the thing right there. What you just said. You might be in line and a dude turn around and say, man, it's a problem. And you be like, man, who the hell are you talking to? Like, bro, I got some ice cream. My little girl wants some ice cream. I'm going home. But he'll take your life because he felt like I left the house on go. So Tony, to be honest with you, bro, I mean, the conversation's got to be had, man. Somebody got to put their hands on these dudes, and and I ain't saying like physically, like, hey, man, you ain't got to do that. I'm talking about young.
Mhm.
That's why athletics and all those things are so important to get you to be able to deal with other people. I'm talking about like t-ball and soccer and those activities.
Get
You
them
need to be,
involved.
huh?
Get the black men
Yeah, get them
get
involved.
involved. Stay on them. Go ahead, Smiley.
Y'all all seen The Wire, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at one season they started this whole trying to create like an outreach program at the schools,
Mhm.
and they went to the high school first. And the reaction that they got from the high schools, they're like, okay, they too far gone. By that time, a lot of that damage is already done. So we had to, they dropped it down to the 6th graders and 7th grade. They had to go to the younger age to try to reach out to them, because it's like by the time they hit high school age, 14, 15, 16, a lot of the damage is already done. So you're trying to undo something versus prevent something.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to prevent something than to fix something. So one of the things that we got to do, and I'm gonna be real, like people tell me I'm a broken record, and it is what it is. Between social media and music, they got our kids' minds wrapped.
Yeah.
Beat up, beat up, beat
See,
up.
that's what I was saying. It starts at home. It starts in the home and how that child is raised. Like
That sounds good. I'm gonna tell you some real shit. One of my kids, 6th grade, decided to try to sneak onto social media. The motivation to do it wasn't because of what was going on in-house. It's because you had all of the kids at school who already had social media. So we not just battling what's on her phone or whatever, because we battling what's on her phone that's also being compounded by what's going on around all of the kids that she's around, right? So we find out that she snuck on social media. So we made a big deal, made a huge fuss about it. We knocked her back to the stone age. No phone, no TV, no radio, no internet, no nothing. You get books in a bed. You in a jail cell, as far as I'm concerned. That's all it is.
And then she went to school and went on her friends' social media.
She went to school, and because of the trends that social media done created, like if all us sitting together in person, and one of y'all say, "Hey, let me see your phone real quick." I got to go through a process. I got to unlock my stuff, and then I'm like, "All right, what you need my phone for?" Like we grew up to be cautious about stuff like that. The trends that social media done created now, the kids don't care. They do little password swaps. They'll put their friends' face recognition. They share everything, right? So when she goes to school after being knocked in the stone age, what happens is she get to school. Hey, let me see your phone so I can check my socials. Boom, there you go. Only reason we found out about it because she accidentally, I ain't gonna say accidentally, but she ended up sending a friend request to somebody in the family. So that's how we ended up finding out, okay, so you still active.
Yeah.
The influence at home is a factor, but it's not the only factor, because now parents today have way more to compete with than our parents.
Correct.
Right, but but when you're dealing with it from the home, that sets the foundation. Yes, the kids are gonna go to school and they're exposed to other things that are outside of the house, but that's with any and everything. It's how we deal with it once they come home. Once again, we still have to set that foundation. We still have to set the foundation and be prepared that they're gonna be exposed to something outside of the household. That's a given. That's in any situation.
But Nita, here's the problem. It's so far, it goes further. Smiley just said something so real. You fighting with that, and then you fight with a different mindset in our community.
Right.
You got a different mindset. You got the cats, and I'll use Atlanta. You got the cats riding around that's in their 40s, that's kicking it. And Tony know this, how heavy it is down here. They riding their choppers in the street. So he ain't at the crib on a Sunday afternoon. He riding his chopper in the street, he kicking it. Then you flip that, he in his 40s. Now you got a 45-year-old lady that just had a BBL. What you think? How's that going? What can you talk to about your daughter when you dress like that? You got a cut off shirt on and you going out. They getting it on both sides. So you getting to that school and your mama got a BBL, like it's a mess. You got a mess.
Yeah.
So do you understand programming?
There you go, programmed.
Well,
They're programming these kids through social media, through music, through just television in general. What's coming on TV. Now, when people say rap and hip hop is a very negative, part of what's going on with the kids or whatever. Well, are we saying that there's no positive hip hop out there? There is positive hip hop out there, but
it just
certain
don't
people
sell.
don't want. No, they don't want that
It
out
don't
there.
sell.
They don't want They don't
No.
want to push that.
They
We
don't
grew
want
up.
to.
We had the
That's
Tribe
what I'm
Called
saying.
Quest. We had the Jungle Brothers. We had X
Hey,
Clan. We had positive rap artists back in the days.
they
But
still
then when
have them.
NWAs came around,
Here's the thing. Positive rappers still exist. These kids don't care. They don't want to hear it.
it's not that they don't want to hear it. They don't even get to hear it because the people that own these radio stations,
Look,
they don't put that out.
I'm just telling you from somebody who will play old school positive rap and find new artists and try to expose kids to new stuff. They don't want to hear it. They'll hear it like,
Because
oh,
they're
man,
programmed
he
to
can
like
rap.
the negative.
They'll
Yeah.
say, they'll acknowledge, oh yeah, he can rap, but I don't want to hear that.
Tanya, what were you going
Because
to
they're
say?
I want to hear
programmed.
that drill music.
Yeah,
Hold
they're
on, baby.
Let me say
programmed.
something.
Hold on.
Let me
Go
say
ahead,
something.
Tanya.
I totally agree with what Lanita had said initially. Listen, the foundation has to be set somewhere.
Mhm.
Okay, it has to be set somewhere. So we look at it where it should be set in the home, starting with the parents. Yes, things will be going to be compounded by what's out in the world. But if you teach a child the way they should go, they will never depart from it. So, but again, Smiley, I heard what you said far as your daughter on social media, yada, 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 yada. Same thing with my child. She's 14 years old and don't have any social media on her phone at all. Girl, but she's go to high school. But these young ladies at high school, they have this social media. They're wearing makeup, eyelashes, and all this other stuff. But because the foundation I set in her, she is not like the other children. She's not like that those other children. I mean, she has options, and I've always told her, you have options, whether you want to take the right turn or the left turn. Whatever option you take, remember, both come with consequences.
Mhm.
I love what
Hold on. I
I
watch.
love what Tanya just said. I
I
love
use
what Tanya
myself
just
as an example.
hold
My
on.
mom,
I watch. Hold on, Smiley. Y'all, I watch a lot of Lifetime. So I'm just gonna say this. You can teach your child foundations at home and be so stuck on them. And then when they go out to school, if they feel intimidated by the people that they hang around, they're going to feel like they're going to get bullied because they're listening to mom at home and they want to try and do what the other kids are doing so they don't feel left out in their little group. So sometimes kids, let's say little girls, you will never see them with the eyelashes or anything, the clothes or nothing, because sometimes they take it to school, they switch. They can put the eyelashes on at school and then take them off before they get home.
oh yeah, I was an angel at home. I was trapping at school.
But let me say, but you know what? Here's the thing. I have a solid support group here. My
Right.
best friend. We stayed
No,
with my daughter.
I'm not talking about you, babe. I'm talking about just
No. I'm saying it starts at home. That's what I'm saying. With a solid support group. With my daughter, you know, I'm not saying she's the child that doesn't do things. Oh yes, she does. I'm quite sure she does. We just had a talk with her about being leader and what leadership means. But because of my strong foundation I have with my BFF, you know, she talks to her. You know, Nicole, you've talked to her. You know, so I keep her aligned with positivity. You know, people that can speak positive things into her spirit.
the one thing
And
that I've always
I
said is
totally
tell your kids, put it in their head, be a leader, don't be a follower. That is something that I always say to my kids. Be a leader, don't be a follower. Go ahead, Tony.
and I totally agree with that. I grew up around a lot of gang banging and gang violence and culture and all that old stuff. And I went to the point where I was doing an intervention with the kids and stuff and talking to parents and all that. And every time I spoke with a group of parents, I always said, it starts at home. Because if you don't do nothing else, you got to at least let them know that there's going to be a consequence behind their action.
Right.
A lot of these kids don't think there's any consequence behind their actions. And then when they do whatever they do, and they sit up in front of that court and that judge, and they're about to get all that time, they thinking like, damn, well, what happened? You didn't think there's any consequence behind that? When you raise your kids with the consequence of what can happen, hey,
That's right. I agree with Tanya and
Exactly, yeah.
Honeybee on that.
I'm gonna
Consequences.
show y'all the power and influence of social media, right? We all know who Kevin Gates is. Anybody not familiar with that name?
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm.
All right, we know this dude is a rapper, famous, rich, millionaire status, all that good stuff, right? And he don't say a lot of stuff that I would repeat, but this one particular conversation, he said something I was just like, that's real. He was like, even with me having a lifestyle that I can afford, like I'm worth millions. I can do damn near anything I want. And periodically, I have to deactivate my social media because I'll get depressed watching other people's highlight reel and comparing that to my real life. This is a grown adult who has everything, who still is subjected to the mind fuck that is social media.
Mm-hmm.
Smiley, that makes sense to you?
It's not supposed to.
That makes no logical sense to me.
Bro, listen to what I'm telling you, right? It's a documentary called The Social Experiment, right? And in that documentary, the creators of Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of that stuff, when I tell you they hired neurologists, psychiatrists, when I tell you they figure out a way to maximize people's engagement.
Yeah.
And one of the things they do is they mastered the art of tapping into your psyche to figure out how to maximize your engagement. Now, here's the thing. If they've done that, just like you just mentioned, 45-year-old out here with a BBL, she ain't do that on her own.
You're right.
Influence. That is influence.
Right, exactly.
Right, it's influence, but then you have to think about why it influenced her. What was she maybe what's the word I'm insecure about? What does she want to enhance? Not everybody has the same, but that's what I'm saying.
It don't matter though, Nita. Miss Mabel got pregnant and she didn't have no BBL. She was all right.
Look, the creators of social media.
What I'm saying is that social media has a big influence on what we do, right? It just does, whether male or female. But we have to realize there are things, logical thinking people realize that social media is not real. A lot of it is not real. It's fake. People put out fake information. People put out fake happiness. People put out fake vacations. Like people put that out there, and then you may look at it, you may get jealous, but you have to think about people live real lives. People are working 9 to 5, working paycheck to paycheck, trying to put food on their table. Ain't nobody in the real, like people have to really remind or reset themselves to let them know, like, okay, that's what they're doing, but I got something going on too. We have to really focus on ourselves. I raising kids and comparing, like them going outside and them being exposed to, I have to know that I'm doing my best, whether if I'm raising a girl or raising a boy, to make sure that their foundation is set so they're not easily influenced on what's going on outside. So they're not going around toting guns, or she doesn't want to go get a BBL or whatever the case may be. That's what I'm saying. But I will say that when we're raising our young men and we're raising our young women, we're raising them to be law-abiding citizens. We're raising them to be somebody else's husband or somebody else's wife. We're raising them to be a mother one day. We're raising them up from boys to men and girls to women. And it has to start somewhere. To me, it's mind-boggling how we set ourselves up for excuses for our children to act a certain way. No, there's consequences for your behavior, whether you're a child or an adult, period.
Hey,
you heard
Go ahead, Smiley.
on this panel?
Huh?
Is that what that, because she said we're setting ourselves up for excuses.
Yeah, we can come up with any excuses to justify whatever we do. That's why people don't get held each other accountable for what they're doing.
Let him say something. Go ahead, Smiley.
What I was saying was, I was asking, have you heard us on this panel here make excuses for bad behavior?
I'm not talking about anybody in the panel. I'm talking about just people in general. I know people that are grown men that don't take accountability, that don't take responsibility, and they were raised up and their parent coddled them into their adulthood, so they don't know how to take responsibility for what they need to do. I mean, that's just like a woman raising a little boy, and she's enabled him her whole life or his whole life, so he doesn't know what to do when it's time to make decisions. But
No
what we're
argument.
trying to do is change that behavior.
And everybody on this panel is in agreement with that. We're
Okay.
all in agreement with that.
Smiley, one quick question.
I'm trying to say.
Quick
ahead.
question, bro.
Uh-huh.
And Tanya said something too, and Tanya, I salute you on what you said about the foundation for your daughter and understanding that, because I'm that type of parent myself. Like, as a woman, you don't have to walk around with your belly out every day. You ain't got to do that thing to be sexy. There's things you can do to where you don't have to do that. But Smiley, you said, bro, that they did tests and how to get in your psyche. Like, they may be able to get to me some other way, but looking at a highlight reel or a fictitious highlight reel of someone's life, you will never get me with that. I think that is the weakest shit on earth.
Look,
But
I don't
here's the
disagree.
thing, though.
I don't disagree. What I'm telling you is this week, put it this way. I got a phrase I used to have when I had debates with people about just how the public operates versus how an individual operates. I always say a person can be smart, but once you start getting a collective together, the collective IQ tends to drop. Our mentality.
Go ahead, Tony.
You understand that.
I think
You
a big
might not
problem
go for
is we tend to feel or value others' opinion of you versus your opinion of yourself. That's why people put this stuff on social media, because you want to be looked at as a certain way, because you want other people to look at you because their opinion of you is so valuable. It shouldn't be. Your opinion about yourself should be the most valuable, not somebody else's. So why do you got to be all on social media talking about, oh, I bought this new car, or I went on this trip around the world and all this, because you want all these people to be impressed because their opinion of you means something. It shouldn't mean something. Your opinion of yourself, that's what should mean the most.
Doing it for the likes. I agree.
We all in agreement on that stuff.
Let me ask you a question, y'all. We gonna go to the classroom, y'all. Y'all know my classroom rules. All men, you have boys in your classroom. Women, you have little girls in your classroom. So what is one statement you can tell a young person to help them in today's world with this topic?
What I would say is that in this time that there's survival of the fittest. And for me, being spiritually grounded is those that will survive with what we're going through right now. So spiritually grounded.
Okay. Nita, men.
I tell my daughter now that my goal is to, there's, the saying, the generational curses.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal is to break negative cycles or generational curses. So if your dream is to go to school, you go to school, you focus on school, and travel, do something different. Travel, get your passport. You don't have to work laying up with different dudes and smoking weed and drinking and going to the college parties. That's not for everybody. You don't have to be in the in crowd to do stuff. You do different, outside the box.
Out of the norm. Get out of the norm.
Yeah, so that's what I tell her. Like, you don't have a baby at 18 because that's what you think is, and then you don't have a career or whatever. It just don't set yourself up for life to be harder for you.
Right.
Off top.
Right.
Do what you need to do, live life. You don't have to be a mom your whole life.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with young women, is we become mothers so young that we're a mom our entire life and we haven't been able to really live. So that's what I tell my kids. Just do something different. Do something that's going to make yourself proud of what you're at, of where you're going, and write down your goals. I tell my kids too, vision boards. Do a positive vision boards.
That's a whole nother topic. We're going to talk about that. That's a whole nother topic. Vision board, y'all. I do like that, Lanita. Men, what would you tell the Black men? We want to see you grow old. Give one statement you can tell a young man to help them.
Limit your social media use.
Huh?
Limit your social media use. It's a distraction for most people, and it does more harm than good nowadays. When it first started, maybe it's debatable, but as of now, it does more harm than good.
Mm-hmm.
So maintain your focus, limit the shenanigans with the social media, and following whatever trend done came out. Focus on the real world.
Got it. Tony, Trav.
So for me, being that a lot of the areas where there's so much poverty, that's where a lot of the violence happens. So
Mm-hmm.
to me, for a young man, I would tell them to learn as much as they can about financial literacy.
Okay.
Learn about how to make money work for you. Learn about how money works.
Yeah.
Because once you put
Yeah.
yourself in that position, you'll be able to advance from those areas, but at the same time, go back and teach others the same, what you have
Mhm.
learned. Be
Got it.
that influence. So
Yeah.
that's my thing.
Trav.
Makes
I like
sense.
that.
I would tell, if you're a part of a quote unquote clique, gang, any of that, or you're a loner and you still don't know, find out why you following these people, why you're listening to them, because they ain't got the answers. They going home trying to figure out the same thing, and you following them. So if you got your homeboy Craig and everything you think that he says gold, man, figure that out. I ain't saying don't like Craig. Figure out why you following that dude.
Right.
Don't just do it because you're doing it.
Yeah.
And I mean that's the best I can tell you.
I like that. And y'all, we ain't gonna stop here, but I'm gonna stop recording. But in conclusion, y'all, young men, stay in the books, learn as much as you can about the history, use your voice in a positive manner. Men need healing circles just like women. And like Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. Until next time, y'all, subscribe to Lust, Let Us Speak Truth. We will see y'all on Wednesday. Holla.
Good night.